By far the most popular business legal entity in New Zealand is the Limited Liability Company, or the LLC. It's used by small mum and dad type businesses right up to very large public companies. So what is it? How does it work? And how do you register yours? A New Zealand limited liability company is a separate legal entity from its shareholders. The company can deduct trading expenses from its income and will pay tax on its profits. If a company's expenses are more than its income and it makes a loss, it may not have to pay tax. If the company distributes profits to its shareholders, shareholders will pay income tax on the dividend, but may also get tax credits back from the LLC to help offset those payments. As a typical limited liability company, its shareholders cannot be held liable for the total debts of the company, but are only liable up to the value of their shareholding. Now, we'll talk more about that later on. The New Zealand Companies Act of 1993 regulates LLCs in this country. As part of starting a business in New Zealand, you must choose a business structure or legal entity to operate. Now, these legal entities in New Zealand will dictate how your business will be run, what registration is required, and some other legal requirements. Now, have a look at this video. I think it's up here. I talk about 3 most popular business entities in New Zealand. Before we outline registering your company, we should talk about an LLC. What is it? And cover some of the main points of a New Zealand limited liability company. So the first is limited liability. A shareholder's liability is limited to the value of their shareholding. Number of shareholders. The minimum number of shareholders needed in an LLC is 1. Number of directors. An LLC can be managed by only 1 director, but that director must actually be a real person, so it can't be another company or entity. Share capital. There is no minimum share capital required. Identity. The LLC must have a name different from all other company names in New Zealand, and it must have the abbreviation LTD at the end of their company name. Address. Every LLC must have a physical office address, not a post office box. What does limited liability actually mean? An LLC is a formal and legal entity, and it's separate from its shareholders and owners. Now, as the name would indicate, the individual shareholder's liability is limited to their share of ownership of the company. Now, these days, limited liability companies really don't protect you as much as they did in the past. They do protect you from the debts that your company would owe if your business should fail, but only if you have not personally guaranteed them. Now, just bear in mind that this limitation of liability would not apply if the company was deemed to be trading recklessly or while insolvent. Now, in that case, the directors would still be liable for the debts of the company. Now, it's also worth noting that if your employee damages something, you can be held personally liable as a director. Now, if your employee takes you to court for unfair dismissal, you can also be held personally liable. But here's the good news. Even though LLCs don't protect you as much as they used to in the past, there's something called public indemnity insurance, and that does. Now, that insurance will cover accidental damage from your staff, to anything, anywhere, workplace accidents, ACC disputes, employee disputes, and other costs associated with those events. So it certainly pays to have a good insurance broker as part of your professional team of advisors. Now, when it comes to protecting personal assets from a business failure, consider using a family trust in conjunction with an LLC. Now, it makes sense to use a trust because trusts can protect assets from business failure in most cases, although there are some exceptions. So you should speak to your lawyer and your accountant before deciding which is the right entity for you. As you have seen, assuming you've watched the video I pointed to earlier, there are several different legal entities in New Zealand that you can choose from. However, you already know that you want to form an LLC in New Zealand, so the next steps are as follows. Company bylaws and company constitution. You'll need to draft company bylaws as the first step to forming an LLC. Now, these bylaws are the constitution of your limited liability company. Simply put, they define its structure and how it will operate. Now, to make things easier, you can use an existing set from another company and just change the details, personalize this for your own company. Now, your lawyer or your accountant should be able to help you here. You should also include a shareholders agreement if there's more than one of you, setting out how the business will trade, the roles and expectations of the shareholders, and most importantly, how the entity will be dissolved or valued. Now, even easier, if you decide not to create your own constitution, your company will automatically be governed by the New Zealand Companies Act 1993. Now, that's a default situation. It's probably not the best, so you should look at some personalised constitution. Registration. You'll need to set up a RealMe login to register your business online. Now, once you have this, you can check the availability of your desired company name by searching the company's register. You can reserve the name for your LLC and then you can register your LLC. Now, I'll include the website addresses in the description below for both of these sites. Registering your LLC online will automatically generate your New Zealand business number. Now, that's an NZBN. This is a unique identifier for your business, a kind of registration number, if you will. Now, to register your business, you'll need to have the following documentation to hand when you form your company. You'll need to have full contact details for your LLC, email addresses, physical addresses, and any relevant mailing addresses if they're different. You'll need to have full details of your company directors and full details of your shares, the number of shares, who has them, and the shareholders. Obtaining a tax number. Once you have registered your LLC online, you'll need to obtain a tax number through the Inland Revenue Department. After you have that, you can register for GST and PAYE. You'll need to do that if you become an employer. Shareholders have the option not to take profits and let the LLC pay corporate tax, or to receive their share of the profits and be taxed as individuals via a personal income tax. Now, you should speak to your accountant and find out which option is the best for you. Opening a business bank account. Operating out of a business bank account keeps personal and company finances separate. Opening an account can take a while, as New Zealand banks now have to comply with New Zealand's anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism law. I know it's a mouthful. It's generally called the AML law. Under this law, banks must make thorough checks on individuals, company shareholders and directors before opening a bank account. So make sure you have the following information for the bank when you go to apply for a bank account. So you'll need documents detailing your business. Now, you'll need brochures, websites, invoices, contracts, etc. You'll need some information. Who are your suppliers? Who are your customers? And you'll need full identification and details of your LLC's shareholders and their directors. Now, that'll include passports, date of birth, birth certificates, addresses, things like that. Accounting requirements. A small privately owned New Zealand LLC is not required to file annual financial documents or reports with the company's registrar. Now, there are some exceptions to this. However, as soon as the LLC begins trading, it must keep full financial and transactional records. Now, the accounting year begins 1st of April and ends the following March 31st, and every New Zealand company must file an annual return with the Companies Office. Now, that'll verify the LLC is still an active company. It's also worth remembering that all records filed with the Companies Office are available for public inspection. Well, you're now ready to go. So have a look at my Start a Business video here and see what else you'll need to get yourself up and running. New Zealand offers one of the most straightforward company formation processes in the world. It's simple requirements. Nevertheless, when forming your LLC, you should consider professionals who can help you make sound business decisions. Now, I have a strong roster of professionals that my clients have used in the past to help them with their businesses, and I'm happy to put you in touch with any professional that you might need. I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, and if you've looked at my previous videos, you'll see I say the same thing over and over again. Hey, thanks again for watching. If you like the video and would like to leave me a thumbs up, a comment, ask a question, please do so. Look, I read and reply to every comment, and I really enjoy hearing from you. If you want to know more about starting a business and want tips on successfully improving your business, make sure you don't miss out on any new videos and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, thanks again for watching. See you again. Hey, I don't think I missed anything. That went well.